Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, switching to my radio voice. Today I have with me Christian Brindle, CEO of Seven Figures Medicare Training, Lead Heroes, Hire Heroes, and also runs the Seven Figure Medicare Summit. So, Christian, how's it going today?
Man, Tony, it's still going great today. It's a Friday at the time of recording this, right? So, finishing out the week, trying to get a few last minute things in before the end of the week and the weekend, and everything's going great on our end. Thank you so much for having me, by the way. I'm a big
My
fan of the
pleasure.
show, and I'm a big fan of you.
Thank you. My pleasure. And you are in Utah. I think Sandy is Salt Lake area.
Yes, actually, it's probably about 15 minutes outside of Salt Lake. They call it a suburb, but now it's like its own city. So it's becoming like a city of sorts. So I don't even know if it can be classified as a suburb anymore. But yes, it's
Okay.
about 15, 20 minutes outside of Salt Lake.
Okay, and I love the Salt Lake area. I've only been once and absolutely loved it, and did the whole going to Park City and check that area too. But Salt Lake in
Yes.
general, just such a beautiful area. I was blown away by how friendly the people are, and by the mountains, just mountains everywhere. Uh,
Yeah.
so we're recording March 7th. I'm assuming still cold, still like not quite spring.
Yeah, not quite. We've had a weird winter here for sure. So, when people think of Utah, I think, historically they think of seasons, right? We get all four seasons, but last couple of years the winters have been super weird and this year's no exception. So, we didn't get hardly any snow until January, which is not normal here. Um, but back east, places that never get snow, we're getting it, like Georgia and all the other places. But,
Twice in
so
Atlanta. We get snow once every 10 years. We had it
yeah.
twice this year. It's insane.
It's weird. Like all our snow went over to you guys, I feel like. But we're still getting snow here and there a little bit. Like it snowed a little bit last night, but it was mild. It was like an inch, and most of it's already melted already at the time of recording this. So we're getting a little bit here and there, but I feel like we're entering into the spring weather a little bit. And when we do get snow, it's
Good.
not lasting.
Okay. Okay. So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is all of you? What do you guys do? What
Yes.
do you guys do?
Yes. Well, thank you for the opportunity for that, Tony. And it can be a little complex at this point in our business, but the best way I can think of our business today is an insurance conglomerate. So, kind of the history is I started an insurance agency about 10, 11 years ago. Actually, this is my 11th year. And I started as a broker myself, doing Medicare specifically, and I got really good at it. I became a very big time producer. I wrote a lot of business. I won a lot of production awards, top producer for a bunch of different carriers. And one thing I started to notice the deeper I went into my career, probably by the time I was about 7 or 8 years in, is that I always thought every agent was doing what I was doing. I was kind of in a bubble in a sense. And I very quickly realized that is not the case. Most agents struggle. Most agents really have a hard time making it in our business. In fact, the turnover rate is, upwards of 90% in a lot of cases. And so, we started slowly but surely starting to put things out there to kind of help agents with their business, our everything we do that helps agents out is based on our own internal agency being like the guinea pig. We're doing things internally currently that are effective, that are helping us grow our business, and so we share it with others. That's kind of the model. And so, I started a training and consulting company called Seven Figure Medicare Training LLC. We have a extremely large Facebook group for Medicare agents that's called Seven Figure Medicare Agent. It's about 10,000 agents strong, extremely organic, very, very, very powerful audience um, that we've done for about 5 years. And so it's kind of a play off of that audience and that Facebook group. Um, and that was basically designed to put out trainings, to do consulting and things like that for agents. Um, and then we started also recruiting agents under our agency and kind of, providing them a lot of our services for no cost. We also started doing a conference. This will be year 4. It happens every June called Seven Figure Medicare Summit LLC. Um, and about a year ago, so I had those 3 businesses basically, with the agency being the head of the snake. And about a year ago, January of 2024, we merged with a leads company and a marketing company and a virtual assistant company called Lead Heroes and Hire Heroes. And so, um, I became very good friends and did a lot of business with the founder of those two companies. And so we ended up kind of merging together. We felt like there was a lot of synergy in kind of what we were doing. And so the long and short of it is like what we do to help agents, I feel like, is we do three things extremely well. Number one, we provide extremely high level training and consulting. So many groups that do training, like the majority of what they're doing is bringing in a carrier rep to talk about how great the carrier is, which is helpful, but you can't grow a business with that. Or number two, they're doing nonstop compliance training, which is also good, I suppose. It's necessary, but like sometimes you want to know what can I do to grow despite this, right? Like how do I get leads? How do I get branding going? How do I get people coming to me? How do I structure my business? How do I hire? Right? How do I increase efficiency? How do I automate my business? Right? Like all of these questions. So we started putting out a lot of training for that. And so I feel like we train really well. We put out great information um, for agents. And I think that comes in the form of our conference. I think that comes in the form of our courses. Our free stuff we put out there for agents. I think number two, we help agents with leads and marketing. I think that's what Lead Heroes does. Last year, Lead Heroes, by the way, is one of the oldest lead companies. Actually, it's going on its 11th year as well. Most lead companies that were around when Lead Heroes started are not in business anymore. So, I mean, for I would say like in lead company years, kind of like dog years, it's like 125 or something like that. But so we help agents with leads and marketing. Last year, Lead Heroes generated about 75,000 leads. Um, we work with agents in all 50 states, and we provide real-time exclusive leads and compliant leads to agents that really need a resource there. And then I think the third thing we provide is, transparency and a real glimpse of how things are really going on in the industry. We provide a lot of transparency, a lot of, guidance for agents. And so our company is kind of designed to be like, okay, here's our insurance agency, and we're doing fantastic with that. What can we bring to the table to the agents to kind of share with them what's working for us? Like, how can we share with agents so they can kind of duplicate our model in a sense? And there's a lot of ways that we provide that. Agents can contract with us. If they don't want to contract with us, they can buy services from us. They can buy consulting with us. And so we've kind of created that model to where anybody that's in the space, they can work with us in some capacity, if that makes sense.
Perfect. 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 All right. The leads company. I come from the PNC space. In the PNC space, one of the top complaints I hear from agents is that these leads are horrible.
Yes.
I don't know if that is a common problem in the Medicare space. Okay. So how are the leads from Leads Heroes different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I've learned a tremendous deal, basically, right? Because I've only been involved in the company with Lead Heroes since January of last year, so I'm going on 14, 15 months now. But I've been a person that's a big believer in there's kind of if a lead isn't working for an agent, there's usually one of two reasons. Number one, the lead could be maybe not generated with the best quality, right? Like the intent of the lead. Like if there is a lead that's being generated, let's say, and let's say in the PNC space, right? Let's use that as an example. Let's say the hook, as they say in marketing terms, that's bringing in the lead is call today and get a quote on your car insurance. And by doing so, you'll get a $100 gift card just by doing the call. That's going to get a lot of people coming in, right? But the intent probably isn't great. You're getting a lot of people that just want that gift card, right? And you see those similar kind of things in the health space as well. The other part of it is what is the agent's sales process like when they're working that lead? And so sometimes getting to the bottom of which one is really the problem when somebody is having trouble with leads is sometimes tricky. With Lead Heroes, I feel like, and I want to start by saying, no lead that an agent can buy, I feel like, is going to be a layup, right? There's going to be, a 90% conversion rate or a 100% conversion rate. Sometimes agents confuse referrals with leads, in my opinion. Like referral to me is somebody that is super high intent. They know who you are already. They had a great experience with working with you, maybe like a friend of theirs, somebody like that. They're probably going to buy. I call them laydowns. Leads are more like somebody that expressed vague interest in some form or fashion. Maybe they filled out a landing page, maybe they responded to a Facebook ad, maybe they sent back in a direct mail card, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, they showed interest, but not huge interest right off the bat. They're interested, but it's up to the agent to really take them from interested to interested enough to buy. And so with lead heroes, I feel like what the lead vendor's job is typically going to be to provide a quality lead is number one, it needs to be exclusive. The lead business over the years historically has been really kind of littered with vendors that would do shared leads, even and maybe not even be honest and upfront that they were doing shared leads, right? So like if Tony, you come and buy a lead from me and I tell you it's only going to you, but it's really going to nine other agents behind the scenes,
And there's nothing
that
more
puts
annoying for the client, for the
nothing
prospect.
more. And it puts you at a sizable disadvantage, right? Like as an agent. Um, I feel like the lead vendor needs to provide an exclusive lead, a high intent lead. So it needs to be honest marketing, um, and a real time lead because the agent's effectiveness with the lead is really going to determine how quickly they're able to get with that person, right? Like the longer that it goes since the person agreed to be contacted, the longer it goes, the less likely they're going to be interested. Their interest fades very quickly. Um, and I feel like we check those boxes at Lead Heroes. So kind of our process is Lead Heroes is built on a telemarketed call center. So the way it works is we run ads online. People opt in to be contacted by an agent. So they're opting in online from a compliant manner. Then what happens is one of our call center reps is going to call them and verbally get them to opt in a second time over the phone. We record that call and then we pass it off to the agent, typically same day. And it only goes out to that one agent. It's never resold again. It's exclusive. So, I find that I like our process quite a bit because I call it a double verified lead. So it's the person's opting in online, but then we are getting them to opt in a second time over the phone. Um, and then we're passing it off to the agent from there. So, you know, it's one of those things where like we have a lot of agents that have a lot of success with our leads at Lead Heroes, but it's not all of them by any means. I don't think that's ever the case. And I always tell people like, again, leading back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this, like it's going to be one of two things. It's how the lead is generated. And if that's checking the boxes, it's going to be based off of how you're working the lead. You wouldn't believe how many agents buy leads and don't call them. That's a huge problem. I think probably in every space, probably in PNC and health, life, everything. Um, or maybe there's a sales process issue. Maybe the scripting isn't as good as it could be when you're calling, something like that. And so we try to help agents identify those problems as much as we can. And we have a lot of free training that we provide when agents buy leads on our best practices on how to get the most out of them.
Okay, and I should have probably asked this first, but um, so it sounds like when you started selling Medicare, you were a fish in water. You just like swam and you didn't know why you were being successful. You assumed
Of
that
course.
that you were just doing what everybody was doing, and oh my god, this is an amazing business. Uh, and so later on, you find out that actually like the survival rate is very, 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 very low.
Mhm.
And uh, what was it that you were doing that was so successful that the rest were not?
Yeah, no, I love the question. I mean, I feel like there's a two-part answer to it. So I feel like in the early years, my first 3 to 4 years, I don't think I was doing anything necessarily groundbreaking. I was extremely raw. I was very green. But what I was very hardworking and very persistent. So I would do little things that probably most people don't do, things that are cliche, things that you probably hear all the time, like You know, how many times have you heard, the gold is in the follow up? I would follow up with my leads and things like that. I would work super hard. I'd work very long hours. I would do things most people weren't willing to do, but I wasn't doing anything super groundbreaking. It was more just based on my efforts, my work ethic. I was young. I was 21 when I came into the business. I'm 32 today. So I had stamina for days, so I could work 80, 90 hours a week and I'm cool, like I could keep going longer if I needed to. Um, but then after I reached like 3 or 4 years in, I was putting up a lot of good sales numbers, but I was like, there's got to be an easier way because I was doing a lot of, knocking on doors, a lot of cold calls, a lot of things like that. Um, and I thought there's got to be an easier way. So what I started to do is I started to learn how to market. I started to learn how to promote my business and be a promoter and brand my business and try to get people coming to me more, or at the very least be able to generate leads myself to where the intent is extremely high. And I'm not a stranger to them necessarily. So I started to learn how to run Facebook ads. I started to learn how to brand my business, both online and offline in my community. We started putting out content. So we have an entire side of our business that puts out content for Medicare beneficiaries and consumers that to this day still brings in a lot of leads for us. Um, and we just started to find ways to work smarter and not harder. Um, and I feel like what really allowed us to propel into the stratosphere in terms of our sales was was doing that right there, trying to find innovative and creative ways to bring more business to us and to build our own credibility with people. And nowadays, we probably write more business as an agency internally from inbound traffic, people that find us online, referrals, referral partners, than most agents will write in a year through all their efforts. And so I feel like that's really what changed the game for us was just, finding ways to do things easier, right? Like people always say you have to work hard in the space, and 100% you do. But at the same time, right, like a construction worker works hard. Somebody that works at McDonald's works hard necessarily, right? They're gonna have a ceiling to how high they can go, though, right? Like they're not in the right vehicle, they're not doing things the right way. So like me knocking on doors and cold calling, there is a limit to how productive I can be doing that, how much I can get done in a day. There's a limit to that. No matter how hard I work, no matter how good I am on the phone, there's a limit. And so for me, it was more about finding ways to increase that efficiency and try to be creative and do things that other people weren't doing as much.
But thank you. But by the way, this is just for my own learning about the Medicare side. Is Medicare paid like PNC where the commissions are where it's really at, or is it paid like life where like 85% is upfront when you sell it, and then there's really not a lot of tail for commission for renewals?
Yeah, great question. I feel like with Medicare, there are different types of Medicare products that an agent can sell, and I think it kind of depends on the product itself. In Medicare, you have kind of two core products that for the most part, agents sell. That's like the flagship products. That would be like your Medicare supplement plans and your Medicare Advantage plans. Medicare Advantage plans are by and large much more popular in terms of what agents sell. And the reason is because for the most part they're government subsidized and most of the time they're $0 premiums. So it's pretty simple to sell zero. You don't have to collect a bank account number, credit card. You don't need none of that. Um, it's pretty easy. It is an easy sell in that regard. Um, and so with Medicare Advantage, to answer your question, Medicare Advantage plans, the way the commission works is the first year of the policy, the commission is fronted for that year. So it's an upfront commission, but the Medicare game is based off of the long-term renewals that build up.
Okay, so very PNC like.
Yes, yes. So like the following year, like if I sell a Medicare Advantage plan today in 2025, I'm going to get advanced that commission. But then in January of the following year, if that client is still on the books, I'm going to start getting renewals on that policy 1 month at a time. Whereas Medicare Supplement, it can be a couple different ways. Like an agent can be as earned, or they can be advanced. It kind of depends on the what the upline's willing to let them do, and what the agent prefers as well. And so, um, but it is the real money in Medicare is made over the long period of time by building up a book and keeping that book happy and keeping them in place.
Okay. So uh the training business, seven figure medical training.
Yes.
Uh what does the training look like? And is it meant for, hey, I just hired a brand new agent who has never sold Medicare. You guys can get them up to speed, or who is it meant for, and what is the training like?
Yes. So I feel like my business partner described it, probably best. And, he calls it a business in a box. And that's kind of what we want it to be. So so our main product that we use for the training company is an online training platform called Seven Figure Medicare University. Seven Figure Medicare University is built by me over the last 5 years. And essentially, it's an online training platform that has about 250 training videos. It's designed to start you off from the process of you're a new agent. And, it starts off very simplistic as like a new agent would need training on. But as you go, it gets farther down and more complicated and more advanced. It's supposed to be like as an agent is growing, there is something for them at that particular point in their journey. So as you go forward, there's marketing training, there's Facebook ads training, there's organic SEO training, there is website training, there is branding training, there is business structure training, there's taxes training, right? How to leverage your write-offs as a business. There is content creation training, there is hiring training, there is um, automation systems, processes training. And so we kind of designed it to where we wanted to put something in there that if someone wanted to basically recreate what we've done with our agency, it's in there and they can do it. And there's a section on whatever they might need help with. And so we've had a multitude of different agents go through it. We've had new agents come on that are brand newly licensed, and they'll go through it for basically over the course of a year as they're building their business, and it helps them tremendously. I have agents that have grown to six figures, multiple six figures, seven figures in revenue, um, really on the back of that training platform. I've had agents as well that will come into it because if agents aren't contracted with us, they can buy into it instead. And I've had agents that have either contracted with us or bought into it that are already pretty established. Maybe they're already doing a six-figure income or something like that.
I'm confused. What's the difference between the two ways to get access to it, between contracting and buying in?
Yeah, yeah. So if they contract with us, what I mean by that is like they're putting their contracts with their carriers under us. We're like their
Oh, okay.
upline
Oh, okay.
in a
Perfect.
sense.
So if they
Yeah.
use you as their is it FMO? Is that what it's called in
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Uh,
FMO, IMO,
okay.
that
So
type of relationship.
so if they access the markets through you as a wholesaler, basically, then they get free access to the training platform, okay?
Yes,
Or
yes.
they can just buy access to a training platform. What is the pricing
Mhm.
like to just buy access to a training platform?
So right now, and we discount it a couple times a year, we do promotions and things like that. But right now, it's about $5,000 one time for lifetime access. There's no recurring fees or anything like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, we wanted to kind of design it in a way because we always have had people that like they are contracted under an upline or an FMO that they have a great relationship with. One time we had someone come to me that I remember very vividly that they're like, they had a family member who was their upline. They're like, I love my family member. I don't want to rock the boat. It's kind of, a little messy if I went in a different direction from them, but I want to get access to the training platform. And, so they're willing to buy in terms of that, And so we tried to make it to where there's a way that anybody can get into it. And so we've had agents that have come in that have been relatively established that it really helps them take their business up a notch. They grow from 100 grand a year to 350 grand a year in a short period of time. They grow from, $300 grand a year to $800 grand a year, and it's always updating, it's always current. So we're always kind of, keeping the training up to date. We replace things, we take things out that aren't relevant anymore. And then they also get access to a weekly training call that I do every single Thursday that's live. And then we put the recordings of those up in the university. So that's the main product that we provide on the consulting side. We also do things where agents can book personal training calls with me. I'm trying to get out of that a little bit because they're such a time suck, as I'm sure you know. But we still do offer that. We do put out from time to time smaller trainings that are like, more about one singular topic, like maybe 10, 15 videos. Like we put one out this year that was all about um, how agents can buy other books of businesses from either retiring agents or agents that want to get out of the business, because that's become a big part of what we've done on the agency side of things. Um, Last year we acquired through acquisition about 900 clients in 1 year. Um, and so, we put up and we discovered that there was a lot of interest in that, because for some agents it might take them 3, 4, 5 years, some even longer, to acquire 900 clients. It's kind of a big power move to be able to grow like that, just like that. So we put out a small training based on just that. It was like $200, and it's 10 to 15 videos on how we do that, how we get funding, how we structure deals, everything like that. Um, and so that's kind of what we provide on the training company. It's mostly the university, but we do other things here and there. We also have a CRM called Seven Figure CRM that is ran through the training company. That's something we ran up in the past 6 months or so, and that's kind of a new product that we have.
Real quick before we go into the CRM, I'm just curious if you have a number. So in the wilds of selling Medicare, and same thing with life insurance, PNC is a little bit better, but in the wilds of selling Medicare, survival rate uh, less than 10%
Hmm.
survive to their to their third or fifth year kind of thing, which is horrific.
Yeah,
You,
it's
you,
really bad.
and it's bad for everybody, right? Like,
Right.
it's bad for the person that didn't do well. It's bad for the industry in general. It makes it harder to recruit the next person. Um, so do you have any data for what the survival rate is for those that have gone through the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, we've had a lot of people go through the training platform. Um, our success rate is definitely higher than industry average. Last time I did a real audit on it was probably last year, something that we probably should do again this year to get updated numbers. But when we did it last year, it was something on the lines of, we had about a 35% success rate. So we still had about a
That's like
65%.
4 times better than
Yes.
going in naked.
Yes.
Uh,
And people always ask, when I've talked about this in the past, they're like, "Well, why isn't it the majority? The majority still don't make it." You hit it right on the head, I feel like a second ago, Tony. Like this business is not for everyone. Um, there's a lot of people that have gone through it that don't do anything that's taught, like they just don't act on the information. It's the old saying, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. And we've had agents too that like contract with us on the the hierarchy, the FMO side of our business, and they get it for free, right? And sometimes agents don't really value things that they don't pay for. So like
yep.
we've had a lot of those agents that they've never even logged in before. So like technically they're a student in the platform, but
Mhm.
are they really? If they've
Yeah.
never even
Yeah,
logged
no,
in,
no.
probably not. And so,
It would probably be cool to measure it against the number of videos they actually watched, right?
right.
So basically,
Yeah.
hey, if you watched at least half the videos or whatever number of videos make sense to you guys, so that they really got what they really need, uh, then we will count you as having gone through it for our success
Hmm.
rate measures. Uh, so anyway, but that's neither here nor there. So the CRM. Why build a CRM, and what is the CRM like? What does it do better than the commercially available ones?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So to answer the first question, like why, right? we're doing a lot of different things, right? The last thing we need is another project. um, but one reason why we decided to do it was because in our space anyway, I don't know if you've seen this on the PNC side as much, but like in the Medicare health life space, it's become more of a trend that uplines and FMOs provide CRMs to their agents, at no cost. It's almost like a value add to
Oh,
them.
okay.
And so for us, we originally created it like we do most things as a value add for our contracted agents. We wanted to be sure that agents weren't missing out on some type of value add that they could get elsewhere. And so that was the main reason why we put it together. Um, like everything we do, though, like that when we create things for our agents, there's always the demographic of people that, they're like, I don't want to move my contracts to you. I like my FMO, but I want it. Can I pay for it? So that seems to be kind of a trend in what we do. And, so we created a paid option for it. It's $97 a month. Um, it is a go high level white labeled version. So in our space, a lot of CRMs that are out there that agents are popular with agents are white labeled go high level systems. So go high level is a very fast growing, I'm sure you're familiar with it, um, tool that's out there. So for us, we white labeled it, put our own kind of landing pages in there, our own kind of automations, our own templates of things that agents can kind of utilize for different types of scenarios. And that's kind of where the value is. I feel like what the system is really good at with any go high level system is, it's probably one of the better systems out there, if not one of the best in terms of automations. It has extremely advanced capabilities of putting together automation templates. Whether it is follow up with your existing clients, maybe it's follow up with leads, maybe it's, reminders for appointments, maybe it's reminders for seminars you're running, webinars, whatever the case might be. And it's very advanced in terms of sending out automated text messages, emails, those types of things. It can even do like ringless voicemails and things like that. Although that you really have to be careful with. There's a lot of compliance things with that. It's a little tougher to do than it used to be, but the main thing for us is, the emails, and the text messages are very effective because nowadays especially when you're, trying to make sales and you're generating leads or you're buying leads, it's just a fact of the matter. People don't answer the phone as much anymore. The contact rate is more difficult to get higher with lead flow. So you need more creative ways as an agent to get people on the phone. Calling a couple times alone probably won't get it done. So like you need something that's going to send out text messages, you need emails to go out. You need to find other ways and other touch points to contact these people. Because I feel like with a lot of leads, going back to the lead conversation we were having earlier, I feel like what most agents don't understand is the person that gets the highest contact rate will probably also have the highest close rate. It's remarkable how often those two things coincide. And and a big part of contact rate is having available touch points to where you're touching a lead in a bunch of different ways.
Okay. What about the summit? So yeah, tell me about the summit. What is it all about? How many people go? What are the advantages of going?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the summit is something we put together. I feel like let's see. Yeah, the first year we did it was 2022. Um, and the first 2 years we did it here in Salt Lake City because selfishly I wanted everyone to come to me. I didn't want to go anywhere. And year one, we had 125 people buy tickets and come. Year two, we had 175 people buy tickets and come. Year three, which was last year, 2024, we brought it to the East Coast and we brought it to actually Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. Um,
Savannah, not Atlanta. Okay,
yes.
Savannah. Mhm.
And we one of my employees lives in Savannah. She's a core member of my team, and she kind of twisted my arm and she was like, let's bring the event here. So we did that. And the event had a great year. We had about 350 people come, buy tickets and come. This year we decided to bring it back to Salt Lake. And so far we have in the ballpark of about 250 people registered. We're about a little bit under 4 months away from the event. So I expect we'll probably have at least what we had last year, if not a little bit more. And it's a 2 day event. It's June 23rd, 24th, with the 22nd being the arrival day. We always do registration that day. We have a welcome party that we completely pay for everything. Um, and it's designed to be what I feel like a lot of events should be, but aren't. So I've been to a lot of events. I'm sure you have as well. Um, a lot of events in our space are completely about networking, which networking is great. I love that. There's value there, but there's really not any content in them, right? Like it's almost like a big expo hall, you know? Um, or there are events that has, speakers and there's stages and things like that, but the speakers are there to sell you stuff. It's a big sell fest. Um, and I'm not a fan as much of either of those necessarily. Like I like the networking capacity, but it'd be nice if you could network and get content at the same time. That would be that would be terrific. So we put together an event that was specifically for Medicare agents. It's kind of, more bleeding into life and under 65 health as well. But it's primarily Medicare focused. But we created it to where there's no pitching, there's no selling. It's all about providing information. It's about basically providing the information that people would expect when they buy a ticket and go there. I always say like, people buy tickets to these events all the time and, they buy the ticket, they buy the plane ticket, they get the hotel room. Like when you really look at it at the end of the day, sometimes there are thousands of dollars invested into this thing. And it's such a letdown when you get to an event and you're expecting really good information and you get there and you find out you're really there to be sold to for 2 or 3 days. Like that's the
So,
worst feeling.
does that mean no sponsors? Like you don't have sponsors with booths and stuff, or do you
We
mean we're very very careful with the speakers being real speakers, not paid speakers, like not
Yes.
companies that pay to speak?
Yes, it's that
Okay,
one. So
perfect.
we certainly have sponsors and we have, vendor tables and vendor halls where people can visit with the sponsors and things like that. So there's certainly that, but like, we really make it a priority to where when we ask a speaker to speak, that they understand we really don't want them to sell anything from the stage. We'd like them to put together a straight informational presentation. Um, and our speakers have to agree to that ahead of time if they're going to speak on the stage. And so, what agents really get is 2 days of, usually it's about 14 to 15 speakers that do all different kinds of things. Sometimes we have marketing experts, sometimes we have branding experts, sometimes we have, agency builders that have built huge organizations, scaled organizations. Sometimes we have sales experts that come in and talk about how to revamp your sales process. We try to really create a nice balance where there's going to be something for everybody, depending on what you're struggling with in your business. Um, and for the most part, most of the speakers are not tied to our organization at all. I mean, some of them are, but not all of them are. We'll invite people to come speak if we feel like they bring value and they can, really be a good asset to the audience there. And that's really what it is about at the end of the day. We typically break even or lose money on the event. It's not something that's a big money maker for us. It's more something that we feel like is a value add of what we try to bring to the industry. Like we want to provide that. And certainly, right, there's an element of it to where our organizations, our companies, our services get highlighted for sure. And I'm sure that there's people that do business with us as a result of the event. I don't know how you can really quantify that. It's kind of tough. But, at the end of the day, like it's not a big money maker for us, but we do it every year because we feel like it's a great service to agents all over the country.
Can you just buy a ticket, or do you have to be a customer of one of the other things to buy a ticket?
That's, yeah, great question. So anybody can buy a ticket. It's available to anyone. Um, if someone is a contracted agent with us, like we've been known, if someone's a contracted agent with us and we're their upline and, they are a valuable partner with us, we've been known to give them free tickets, from time to time. But for the most part, it's designed to be no matter who your hierarchy is, no matter who your upline is, no matter what group you're with, it's an agnostic event. It's not a big hype fest for our organization. It's not a recruiting event. it's about everybody coming together and learning how to do their business better. And so it's available and open to anybody. We've had all types of, FMO, other FMOs and IMOs come out that really have no affiliation with us, and they'll bring groups of their agents at times because, the event has gained a reputation that their agents are safe. They're not going to be, preyed upon. There's not vultures, looking to pick them off or anything like that. But we're really going to pour into them for a couple of days.
Okay, that's interesting because that's your competition for your IMO.
Yep.
All right, all
Yep.
right. So we're a little bit running out of time, and we still haven't talked about Hire Heroes. So
Yes.
what is Hire Heroes?
Yes. So Hire Heroes is the sister company to Lead Heroes. And it is a virtual assistant staffing company. So basically, a big part of what we do internally is virtual assistants. We work with about 300 virtual assistants in our company right now. Um, and my business partner has really kind of become, in my opinion, he's one of the brightest minds that we have in our space when it comes to virtual assistants and staffing and all of that stuff. That's a superpower of his, and delegation and all of that stuff. So what Hire Heroes is it's an organization where agents can come to us and maybe they're having trouble hiring in the States. Maybe they can't afford to hire somebody in the States. We will essentially find a list of skill sets that they're needing someone to do. Like maybe they need someone to come in and manage their social media. Maybe they need someone to answer their phones. Maybe they need someone to help them set up their CRM, whatever it might be. We'll get a list of skill sets they're looking for, and we'll go to our pool of virtual assistants and we'll try to find somebody that matches what they're looking for. We've already gone through the vetting process of making sure that only the best and most qualified people that have been with our organization for years in most cases are the ones that are being matched with the agent. And we provide them with someone typically in the Philippines, that can, typically they can hire and work with, for a far reduced cost to working with somebody in the States. It's much more affordable. They're completely virtual. Um,
Are
but essentially,
are they working our hours, or are they doing the tasks at Philippine hours, and then we come in the morning and the tasks have basically been done?
yeah, great question. So they typically will work our hours. They
Okay.
work the night. They work the night shift on their time. And so they're available to work the times that usually agents are going to be working during the week during business hours.
Okay.
Um, I almost look at Hire Heroes as like a matchmaker. We're seeing what agents' needs are. We're finding a talented, qualified person and then matching them up. That's kind of what Hire Heroes does. Um,
Oh,
and
so the person becomes my employee over there, or
so
or am I renting them from you?
it is more of a rental more than
Okay. Okay.
anything
Okay.
like
Okay. Okay.
that. But the person will exclusively work for you.
Okay.
So they
Perfect.
won't work for you and then like next week they're working for someone else. We're trying to find someone that's going to be a dedicated team
Mhm.
member for that person
And
exclusively.
I need to have basically 40 hours worth of work for them kept. Perfect.
It's we offer part-time and full-time.
Oh,
So like
okay. Okay.
people can get a virtual assistant for 20 hours a week or 40 are typically the two options.
What is the pricing like on the VA side?
Yeah, so depending on how many hours that somebody books the virtual assistant with at one time, we do have a bulk discount. It's typically somewhere anywhere between $8 to $10 an hour, depending on how many hours they book all at once. If they get a lot of bulk hours and they pay a lot up front, we typically will reduce it to as much as $8 an hour.
Okay, so $10 an hour, the high end. If I'm looking
Mhm.
for part time, basically for as little as $200 a week,
Yeah.
I could get 20 hours in the Philippines. All right. And what kind of commitment do I need to sign up for 6 months, for a year? Like what kind of commitment is it?
That's the beautiful thing about it is, there isn't a lot of commitment on it. Typically, it's a month to month kind of commitment. And, there isn't any type of contracts that we make you sign that, commit you to long periods of time, 6 months, 12 months. And if it's ever not working out with someone's virtual assistant, we will replace them with someone else if someone
Okay.
wants that. But an agent could theoretically, try it out for 30 days. And if they weren't feeling the service too much, they could walk away with no no questions asked.
Okay, so can do a variety of tasks. You will find the person with the skill set for the tasks that we need. Now my PNC brain is thinking they can't deal with directly with the customer because of the license issue. I'm assuming it's the same in Medicare. Uh, as little as $8 an hour if you buy a bunch, but $10 an hour otherwise. Can be part-time or full-time. They work my hours. Uh, as little as 1 month commitment. Uh,
Hmm.
you won't take them away from us. Like it's not a
Hmm.
different person every week kind of thing. But if we like our person, we can keep our person. If we don't, we
Yes.
can get a different person. That seems extremely flexible. So
Yeah, we've tried.
fantastic. Okay.
We've definitely tried to make it be right. Like we wanted it to be an extremely valuable service, and at the end of the day, like we even make it almost inconvenient for us in a sense to make it more convenient for the customer,
Uh-huh.
and for the agent. And on the customer side of things, like on the Medicare side, I'm not as familiar on the PNC side, but like on the Medicare side, the health side, the life side, they're able to interact with the client as long as they're not doing anything that a licensed person would be the one needing to do. Like, so they couldn't take applications, they couldn't take private health information, but they could answer a question on a policy benefit. They could call into a carrier and help with a claim, that kind of thing. So they have things they can do with the client, but
Okay.
they have a little bit of limitations at the same time.
Okay. Are most agencies that are using VAs through you guys using them for more for process type things and kind of like back office type things?
There's a lot of that for sure. But there are a lot of agents that are using them as their front desk admins as well. So like we have an agency right now that comes to mind who's been a client for many years before I was even involved with the company, before the merger. Um, and she has a team of about 5 virtual assistants with us, and they answer the phones for her. They deal with her clients for her. Um, they even train new virtual assistants for her when they come into the agency. She's built like this great infrastructure around the virtual assistants. So like she has some that manage her CRM and do things behind the scenes. She has others that answers the phones. So they have like core responsibilities. And so there's a lot of people that get them to handle behind the scenes things, but there's also a lot of people too that they are their front desk admin. And they do a really good job with it.
Okay. Um, and it sounds like Hire Heroes works beyond just the Medicare space. Like we can get them for okay, perfect. Any sort of like clerical or even significantly skilled digital skills. I don't
Mhm.
know how I came with that
Yeah.
phrase. Okay.
A lot of
Mhm.
transferable skills, right? Like a lot of things like if they can do it for a Medicare agent or a life agent, they could probably do it for a PNC agent as well. Like, CRM work, anything like that. Like any new employee, um, they don't come out of the box necessarily. They require training, but like we do train them on basics of insurance, basics of, different types of insurance, basics of different CRMs. So like they come with a pretty good working skill set. But a lot of times what we found is it's about training them, but more than anything, it's about training them on how you want them to do things, which is different for everybody. Um, and so at the end of the day, they're people just like anybody else. And so they need a little bit of training. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a really, really good, valuable service. Out of all of our companies, that one has probably had the most growth by percentage. I think last year in 2024, it saw a 300% growth. Um, and so that's a very valuable service. And, ideally, it could work with insurance agents in any capacity.
Fantastic. Oh, Christian, thank you very much for your time. You made this extremely easy. I always say that the more that the guest talks, the better the episode. Right, that I don't have to like spoon feed the stuff out of you. This one was particularly complicated because you guys do so many things.
Yeah.
But so thank you for playing along while my very ADHD brain jumped from side to side of the operation. Uh, when this goes live, which will likely be April 2nd, although I shouldn't have said that while we're recording because they do get moved around. When this goes
Sure.
live, I will tag both you and the company on LinkedIn. I'll include the company website on the show notes for the listeners. Uh, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me, Tony. It was a blast. I enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully, it brings some value to your audience and your listeners. And once it goes live, we'll definitely post it on all of our channels in our Facebook group, everything like that, and direct people to it.
Thank you very much.